Hello, thank you for having me, Lenka. I'm really pleased to be here to talk to you about how to confidently niche and get your business to stand out. So I will now share my screen. It worked fine earlier, so it's always, you never know till it's actually done on these things, do you? But here we go. So hopefully you should see that. Yes, that looks like that's worked good. I've got the thumbs up from Lenka. We're good to go. So do you feel that maybe you're a little bit unsure of who your A-list client should be, that you're offering maybe too many things? You've got lots of services that you offer or lots of different products and things that you are offering. You're not really standing out enough. You think, oh, I just feel like the same as everybody else. I'm not really standing out for me and my business. Or you're just confused. Who you want to work with, the jobs you take on, the marketing you need to do. You're not really sure where, what positioning your business has, what you should be talking about, and it's impacting basically everything that you end up doing in your business. And it's basically starting to take over. It's stopping you from getting your business out there. So you think a niche would be your knight in shining armor. People say you need to have a niche. The riches are in the niches or niches if you're English, not American. But you hear it's a good idea, but what on earth should it be? A niche is a good idea. You hear it all the time, but where on earth do you start? What does that mean for actually your business? So today I'm going to be talking about three things. I'm going to be talking about the 3 steps that you can confidently niche. So the first one I'll be talking about is choosing your niche. What could your niche be? The second one is being confident with your niche. And this is really important because I find that sometimes it's the confidence of going for it with your niche that holds business owners back, and knowing the right time to niche as well. So when is it the right time for your business, and when is it the right decision for your business to niche? So who am I? Why am I doing this masterclass for you today? Looks like one of my pictures has disappeared. So that's not good. That's a picture of a podcast, by the way. So I'm Amy. I've worked in brand and marketing for over 15 years. I've worked with large public organizations, public-facing organizations, so their brands and how they communicate themselves is really, really important, as they have a little bit of a rep to protect, but also loads of staff to get on the same page. Everyone has to be on that same page. And over the last few years, I've worked with small business owners who want to be heard above the noise, because it can be noisy out there, but don't really know where to start. And now I help solopreneurs and business owners get clear on their niche. So helping them get clear on what makes them different so they can stand out, and how they communicate that so they can position themselves as that go-to person and attract more A-list clients. So we want more A-listers. We don't want the Z-listers anymore. So, and then in doing so, you can take the business to the next level. So I also have a podcast called Unleash Your Niche, which got to number 8 in the UK marketing charts, which is what this little picture was, but you can see by it looks like a phone and headphones. Yes, where was I? Yeah, so, and this is where I share with you how to stand out, how to position yourself as the go-to person. And I also have some pretty awesome guests on with me too on there. So when I'm not working, you'll find me in one of these places, although maybe not so much at the moment. Although I was very excited that the athletics track is now open. So I had my first training session on Tuesday. I'm a 100 and 200 meter sprinter, but it went very badly. So apparently 4 months sitting down and not doing anything does not a fit body make. So It's going to be a bit tough the next few weeks, I reckon. But otherwise, I love nothing more than a lovely cup of flat white oat milk. Flat white is my favorite, and I love breakfast and brunches and all those things and traveling. But oh, when we will be able to travel again, who knows? So before I start, I wanted to start off with a niche myth buster. And that is, you need to have a super duper specific, pinpointed, laser focused A-list client to have a niche. And the reason I'm starting off with this is that this is normally the first thing that people tend to think about when they think about what their niche should be. They go immediately to their customers and they think they need to get really clear and specific on demographic aspects of their A-list client. And then they start coming up with crazy scenarios, crazy kind of client avatars, but this is not the case. And this isn't actually a very good idea anyway. And I'm going to be saying a bit about this later. But also, a customer isn't the only thing, not the only way that you can niche. There are others, which is I'm going to go through today. But I started with this as this is normally quite a breakthrough and a bit of a relief for my clients when they realize that they can actually have a niche, and a really strong niche as well. And they don't have to have this specific client straight away, if at all. So it's just something to bear in mind. So I always like to start with that. So first of all, choosing your niche. So before we get into choosing a niche, comes with a little bit of a caveat, and that it needs to come naturally, no guessing, no picking out of a hat. And this is something I see a lot when people think, oh God, I need a niche. I need to get more specific with my business. What shall it be? And then they start making things up. It's like, that's never been something you've ever done with your business. They're maybe clients you've never worked with. Why are they now your niche? You're just panicking. You're making things up. You're just thinking of things off the top of your head. And that's absolutely not the way to do it. So all the things that I'm going to be talking about today, the caveat is that you should be looking at what's currently happening in your business, what's there, any patterns, anything that's already happening, and tweaking on those. It's not making something up from thin air. So to help you come up with what aspects you could niche and how you can create your strong niche, I've come up with my uniqueometer, and it has 3 points. So the first one, as I say, it's something that I've spoken about. It's what people tend to go with. So I thought I would start with it first, kind of get it out the way, as it were, is who do you want to work with? And this can be by sector or industry. So it could be healthcare, it could be the fitness industry, retail, businesses, any sort of sector or industry that you can think of, that is kind of endless, really. And the reason you would choose this is because, number one, they are the majority industry that form your current clients. As I said, this isn't, you're not making anything up. You're not kind of thinking, where shall I focus on? Oh, I know the fitness industry because, well, it's a particular industry. I might as well focus on those. It's looking at who your clients are. And if there is a majority of that type of person, you may think, okay, it seems like majority of my clients or my customers are this sort of person. So maybe I use the fitness industry example again, or they all seem to be in the fitness industry. Okay, maybe that's something I can focus on a little bit more, can tweak my messaging that it's even more specific to them. Let's say it's not something that you're making up. You're not just choosing it randomly. Or number two, it's a sector that you know really, really well. So for example, maybe you used to be an accountant and now you help accountants build their businesses. So it's a sector you know really well. You've got a lot of knowledge from that. But if you don't have one of these, that's absolutely fine. Don't start getting worried. We've got a few more things to go through today. This isn't, I say, this is not where it starts and ends. So if you're thinking, I don't think I have this, that's perfectly fine. You might also have a subsector. So this is when you get a little bit more specific. You know, the general ones that I was just talking about might be too broad, and that you find that rather than, say, using that fitness industry example again, the fitness industry, it could be that you're finding that your clients tend to be gym instructors who are in the first few years of their business, or gym instructors who have online memberships or something like that. But say, once again, can't be made up. It needs to be something that is there in your business, and you work more on that. So it's the tweaking element. And then the third one, so if you're still thinking, yeah, I don't think I have a particular person, that's totally fine. So it could be by pain point. Now, this is something you should be super clear on anyway, and you should be focusing on, but it could just be that your pain point is the thing that connects all your clients together. It could be the only thing that they all have in common. So they could all be from different places, all different types of people. But if they've got that same problem and that you're answering it for them, then that is strong enough. So, and this is normally quite a good one if people, I have clients come to me thinking, oh, well, should I focus on, say, smaller businesses or corporates? Oh God, you know, I need to pick one. Well, actually you don't, because if they all have the same problem, it doesn't matter if they're small or large. So it allows you to be able to work with both of them quite seamlessly, because that problem is the thing that anchors them together, and is the thing, as I say, that is what joins them together and is who you help. So it's really focusing on that. So the second thing there, so that's the who you work with, first one. The second one is, how do you do things differently? And the first way that you can do this is focus on a certain aspect. So this is going from the jack of all trades to becoming a specialist. So this means that you can become the go-to person, the expert in that topic or area that you decide to focus on. So an example of this could be that you are at the moment a marketing consultant, so quite general, you do all sorts of marketing things, but actually you now specialize in only SEO. So that's the thing that people know you for, that's the thing that they'll come to you for. And so it's that one item. Or it could be that you're a copywriter and you only do sales pages. So you no longer write blogs or do writing books, whatever other things that you may well have done in the past, but you only focus on something like sales pages. Or if you're a photographer, you don't do all sorts of different photography, you don't do weddings, you don't do family shots, you don't do say all sorts of things, but you just do brand photography. So you're focusing on a certain element. And this one is also really, really popular, or a way people think of when they, again, a niche, they think either the customer or that they have to get really specific on an element of their business. But it's also the one that I feel creates the most fear surrounding, because I think people think that if they do focus down on a particular element of their business, they'll lose the custom from all the other things that they were offering. But this is absolutely not the case. In fact, it's probably the opposite. The more focused you are on something, the more likely you are to attract clients, because you're speaking specifically to them. So they'll feel even more of a connection to you. But also, you know, if someone's after a specialist, they'll want you, because I've known people who've done it like from the customer client perspective. I've known people who have not only chosen the specialist over a generalist, but they have paid them more. So it allows you to be able to do that as well, because you are so specific in that area. Because they feel, even, you know, it may well have been that the generalist would have said the exactly same things as the specialist, but as that person was positioning themselves as that specialist, you have more trust in them. You think, okay, all they talk about is this thing. They're going to know the most about it. They're going to be at the forefront of knowing about this thing if there are any changes. They've got their whole focus on that. So they are going to be the better person for me. An analogy I like to give on this is that if you were having a problem, say with your stomach, you're having stomach problems and you went to your GP, you would be like, okay, don't really fancy seeing GP. I want to see a specialist. I want to see someone that focuses on stomach issues, because they are going to be the one that helps me the most. And it's exactly the same in your business. People search out for the specialists. And the thing is, now, with everything being online, you know, especially even more so now that everybody has gone online, you know, people have had to shut their bricks and mortar elements of their business. You can choose a specialist anywhere. So being a generalist will start to be a lot harder, because why would you want someone who's generally doing all sorts of different aspects when you could just choose the individual specialist for the things that you want help with? So how do you choose this specialist thing that you're going to focus on? So in a similar way to the customers, so you're looking at what's happening in your business and focusing and tweaking and getting more specific in those elements. So if you offer, say, a range of services at the moment, it may be that there's one service that's more popular, that more clients want from you. It may be one that they like the most, you know, that you get the most positive feedback about. And also it could be the one that you feel you give the most value to. And that could be in a range of different reasons. So it could be that you feel you've got a little bit more insider knowledge on a particular area, or maybe you feel that you know more about it, or just that your clients seem to get more out of that particular service that you help them with. So that's a way that you can kind of start to think about that. But so once again, it's not just choosing something randomly, it's looking at what you've already got and tweaking from there. That's what the whole thing is about, and that's going to be something I'll talk about in a moment. The other way of standing out by how you do things is by offering a different way, like doing things a little bit different. Why do the same as everybody else? And maybe it's that you've seen what your competitors are doing and you think, do you know what? I think I've got a better way of doing it. I think this other way would be more interesting, would be better for my clients, all those sorts of things. Or it could be doing something that you're doing that you know is quite unique. You haven't seen anyone do it, or not in the same way that you're doing it. So how can you do things that little bit different? So an example of this could be that you have a membership, but you offer maybe a bit more one-to-one time with your members than somebody else. Or maybe you have a super cool way of onboarding new clients that other people don't do, and it's something that makes you really stand out and is different, and people want to work with you. Or maybe you're in an industry where everyone has to keep asking for quotes all the time. No one's being really transparent with their prices and things like that, and you are really transparent, so you're standing out. People are thinking, yeah, I'll go to them because, you know, it's all really easy. You're making really easy for me. I know how much it costs. I know the packages, all those kind of things. It's just doing something a little bit different and that will be of interest to your customers. So then the third one is then, what's special about you? How can you stand out by being you? And this is a great one if you're new to business and perhaps you're thinking, you know, as I'm going through these things, you're thinking, okay, yeah, I'm not really sure about my customers yet. I don't think I really have one that particularly is standing out. Everyone's quite different. Or maybe you're thinking, you know, I'm not quite sure what my special thing is yet on how I do things. Not sure I'm ready yet to focus on a particular topic or area. So this is really good one. So this one might be for you, because the good thing is that we are all different. So you're already starting off with something that is quite different. So it's thinking about how you can amplify that in talking about your business. So how can you do that? So the first one is by your personality. So the same way that you're drawn to someone new at a party, or, you know, business Facebook group, because let's face it, that's probably more likely nowadays, or at least online at the moment. You know, the same would be for your potential clients. So seeing you and getting to know you as you would. So it'd be elements of your personality that will attract people to you. So it could be that you are extra kind of fun, bright, bubbly, you know, especially if you're in an environment or industry that's more traditionally kind of quite grey and dull, and more traditional. So perhaps accountancy or law. So if you come in and you're really changing things of how people normally position themselves, then you are going to stand out. Or it could be that you use humor a lot. You know, perhaps you create funny videos, or you're funny in your tone of voice, in your blog posts and your social media. Or it could be that you're actually quite introverted. You know, you don't always have to have this big, massive, crazy personality. It could be that you're very introverted and you make more of that. Or it could just be that you have, you bring in some of your likes, things that you enjoy, that aren't business related at all, but you start talking them a lot more in your business, you know, creating more of that personal brand. And people like these things too. So this could be the clincher on if someone works with you. And also you could think about things such as your clothing, or how you dress, or how you look, to make yourself stand out and be recognizable. So it could be that you dye your hair, or that you wear quite mad glasses, colorful glasses, or you always wear hats, something like that. You always wear your brand colors, you know, you're always wearing bright clothes, things like that. You know, celebrities are a really, really good example of this, because they always have their particular look and feel. You know, you could dress as them if you went to a fancy dress party. You know, people like Liam Gallagher, Amy Winehouse, Harry Hill, or whoever. You know, there's so many, isn't there, where they actually, you know who they are, just their outfits. So it could be that you think about that and say this could be a really good way to become recognizable and to stand out. And the second one is your values. So your business should have a set of values that runs through everything that you do. So this is the kind of what would someone say about you if you weren't in the room kind of stuff. So if you feel they're important for your business, then chances are someone else will as well. And it could be what connects you with somebody, connects you with your clients. And getting clear on these aspects, this personality, your values, all the things that I've just spoken about, is a really great place to start. As I say, especially if you're new in business, or it can be a bit of an icing on the cake as well. So if you're really clear on your particular client or how you do things, it's that extra icing on the cake, because just focusing on these aspects probably won't position yourself as the go-to person. Just because you're, say, funny or wear bright clothing doesn't mean that you'll become an expert in that particular thing that you do. But what it will help with is getting your business to stand out, and that you'll be recognizable, and that you can get your messaging across, so people will have that know, like, and trust, which we know is important. So it's thinking about those elements and how they all work together. So say it could be that you focus on one of these elements that I spoke about, or you have a combination of them. Say the kind of more you have, the more you get focused on. And the thing is, with a niche, what it is what makes you different and what makes you stand out from everybody else. So it's that little superpower, that little special source that you have for your business. So it's thinking about, okay, what elements can I have that will make me stand out? Why would someone choose me over somebody else? If there's a few of you, to choose from, why would they pick me? Why do I do things a little bit differently? Why do I say things a little bit different? How is my personality different to other people? All those elements. It's all thinking about all those things and how they all fit together to form a really, really strong niche. And there are things that you can add to over time as well, which is something I'm going to be talking about in a moment. So the second thing is being confident with your niche. And as I said, this is something that I find my clients have, they might have an idea of what they want to focus on, that they want to niche in or niche their business, but they're just not very confident. They're not too sure. They might be thinking, oh, should I, shouldn't I? It starts to have all those elements. So I've come up with a way to break that confidence code. So how can you be confident in going all in with your niche? So the first thing is test things out. So it might be, as I say, you've got this idea, you think, yeah, I'm looking at, I'm looking at what's been going in my business. I think this is the route to go in. It's seeming that this feels right, seeming that this is something that my clients want, but before I start changing all my social media profile bios or changing all the copy on my website, I'm not totally 100% sure yet. So testing things out is a really, really great place to start. And there are a few ways that you can do this. So the first one is that you can change your focus behind the scenes. So you don't need to tell anyone yet. You can just know yourself. But then when you start talking to potential clients, maybe you just push your new direction or your new thing that little bit more. See what they say, see what they think about that. Another really great way is writing a few extra blog posts or social media posts, however you create your content, about your new focus, and see how people pick up on it. What's the response? How are people enjoying your new focus? You're kind of doing it gradually. You're not doing a big kind of makeover moment. You're kind of doing things a bit gradually and seeing how people relate to this. And also you're kind of slowly getting people to realize that you are doing something else. Or you can give some kind of no strings advice, as it were. If people are asking questions in, say, Facebook groups, things like that, that you're part of, you can, on the topic that you help with, you can start answering them. So people start to think of you as someone that helps with that. And it means you get to know a bit more about what problems people are having. So that's really good as well. So that kind of nicely goes on to my next point, which is get validation. So do a bit of research. So research is important and is something you should be doing at all stages, regularly in your business anyway, especially when your customer is directly involved. But say, do a bit of research, make a list of past clients, potential clients, people that you think might make good clients, people that maybe in your sector, or people that once maybe had help with the thing that you help with now, or just some business buddies that will give you real good solid advice. And just ask them things about the problem that they're having. Where do they want to end up? What do they need help with? What are their biggest struggles? All those kinds of things, and see what they say. And then that will give you a nice indication that what you're doing is something that people want help with. And that might give you that extra bit of confidence. And also have a look in Facebook groups. That's a really, really good place to do a bit of research. People ask questions all the time. So if you're seeing that people keep asking a certain question all the time when it comes to your area, then that could be something that, say, gives you that extra bit of validation. The next one is do it in stages. Now, niching is a process. You know, you've heard me say things like tweaking and focusing, and that's absolutely right. I think one of the things that people do get a bit worried about, and I think it holds people back when they're thinking about their niche, is that they're thinking of where their niche should be further down the line. They're kind of jumping across phases. And that's when they start to get a bit stressed, because they're going from kind of 1 to 100. They're going from being, say, maybe quite general to being so focused that they're not quite sure how to get there. But if you tweak and focus as you go, and I say that doesn't mean it's got to take years in between these things. It's just seeing what's there and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. And you notice this a lot. I bet if you go and look at some businesses that you know well and think back where they were, this is the process they've done. They've tweaked ever so slightly, and it may have been they don't even realize, because they've just slowly tweaked. They've refined their messaging, they've refined their offers, all these things as they've gone along. And the fourth one is believe in yourself. You know, I say one of the biggest things that I find hold people, business owners, back from going on all in with their niche is just the confidence. You know, maybe thinking, how can I specialize in a certain topic? You know, I've only been doing this thing 6 months or a year, or, you know, I haven't got a formal qualification, or whatever that thing is that you tell yourself of why you're not good enough, you know, is the thing, you know, that's what holds you back. You kind of think, okay, yeah, I want to do this. Oh, but I can't, you know, it's been too embarrassing. I'll get found out, all those kind of things. So, you know, you have to find a way to banish those evil thoughts. And some good ways of doing this is get all your testimonials together. Every nice thing someone has said about you, whether that's on a comment in a Facebook comment in a Facebook comment, you know what I mean? Or it's an official kind of testimonial a client's given you, or just some nice feedback someone said, you know, on a call with you. Try and make a note of all these and put them somewhere. So if you are feeling a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, have a look at that, and it will boost your confidence. Another way is do a bit of extra learning. So if you are focusing on a certain area, if you're kind of doing that, you know, you might want to get your mind more focused. And this isn't because you don't know what you're talking about. Absolutely not. But sometimes, you know, you need that little bit of reassurance. If you start reading blog posts and you're thinking, do you know what, I can do this. I know more than this. In fact, it just helps you with that confidence and knowing that you can do it even better. And, you know, and it's remembering as well, you know, you only need to help your customers. You don't need to impress or know more than your peers. You know, people who have been doing this for 20 years and you've been doing it 1 year, you can't compare yourself to those. You've just got to worry about your customers and can you help them? That's all you need to worry about. So the third thing is knowing the right time to niche. So is it time for you to niche in your business? I've been talking about this today, but is it the right time? So why should you niche? Why is it a good time, or why is it a good thing to do? So it might be that price is your only difference. This is a situation you absolutely do not want to be in. You don't want to be chosen just because you're the cheapest. That is in a really bad place to be, because what if someone comes along and they're cheaper? It's just the never ending, like, cheap, you know, your prices get lower and lower and lower. Bad place to be in. You know, if there's 3 of you that maybe your customer is choosing between and you're all absolutely identical, there's nothing different, it starts to go on the you know, what is the thing that makes you different? And that normally comes down to price. So if that's you at the moment, this is something maybe you do need to think about, because you don't want to be in that situation. You need something else to make you stand out and be different. It could be that you want to be seen as the expert. You know, you've had enough of being a bit of a jack of all trades. People don't really know what to come to you because you do all sorts of different things. You want to start being seen as the expert that you are, and you want to be focused. You want to be asked to be doing masterclasses, be on podcasts, doing speaking gigs. You want people to come to you for your advice because you are the go-to person. It could be at the moment you're attracting a bit of a mixed bag of clients. You're basically taking on clients for the money. You're doing things that you don't normally do. It's tiring you out. It's making it confusing of what you should be focusing on. So maybe it's time, if you're just attracting all sorts of different people, you're not attracting your A-list client who are wanting for that one thing or those things that you do. Or the question, what do you do, triggers a bit of an identity crisis. You know, someone asks what you do, you're not really sure, you start waffling, you start blabbering on, you haven't really got to the point, you're not really sure, you don't have that crisp kind of concise sentence that you just immediately can say what you do and someone gets what you do. They understand, they're like, oh my God, that's brilliant, I need that in my life, or I know someone who really needs that. Or you want to up level your business. You know, the thing with niching is each time that you start to focus, you get a bit more specific, you are positioning yourself even more as that go-to person. So it could be that you want to start breaking through. Your business is good at the moment, but you want it to get even better. You want to break through and become known for something, and say, become that expert, be attracting all the right sorts of people. You don't want to be reliant on pricing. It's all of the things that I've spoken about here. You don't want to take your business to that next level. So this all sounds brilliant. So why would I not want to do this? Everyone wants to have all those things, presumably, maybe, but why would I not want to? So the only time not to maybe think about this niching process is that you haven't had any or many clients or customers yet. And I think this is something that really holds back businesses when they are right at the beginning, is that they're too busy thinking of what their niche might be, whereas actually they should just be trying out a lot of things and seeing what that might be. As I said, it's a process of seeing what's there already in your business. So if you are thinking, oh, I need to, you know, it's that making things up again. You don't want to be making anything up. You want something to be there in your business. So go and work with as many different people, try different services out or products out, whatever, to see where it might, your niche might end up being. And sometimes it's something you don't know. So that's why it's so important. But so you're thinking, okay, now what? Thanks, Amy. I've just listened to this. Now you're telling me, because I'm you, this doesn't apply. Absolutely not. It still does apply. But the things you need to focus on are just two things. And this is important whether you are day one of your business or day 100, or that's not actually many days, is it? But further along in the journey, a few years down the line, you know, what makes you different? Every business needs to have something that makes them different to everybody else. So that's, you know, you need to be thinking about those things. So thinking back, you know, back to this, my uniqueometer that I was talking about at the beginning. So it may be that you don't really know who yet, because as I say, you haven't worked with anyone yet or many people. So focus on how you do things differently. So you might not focus on a particular element yet, but how do you do things differently? How can you make your customers feel you're doing it differently? How can you say things in a different way? You're not just regurgitating the same things everybody is saying in your industry. It's just, you know, you wouldn't know who it was from. It's just saying the same tips, the same facts, the same, you know, how can you switch it up and make it different of how you do it? Or focus on the what's special about you. So as I was saying, like, what elements of your personality can you amplify and do more of in your marketing so you stand out from everybody else? You know, how can you personally make your business stand out? And the second thing is be focused and clear what you do. So if you are really unclear about what your business does, how it helps, you know, you still need to be clear on those problems, those pains that your customer is having and how you solve them. Whether you're brand new or you've been in business for a year, you still need to be really, really clear on that. And if you're not sure what you do, then your customers won't either. So it's being really, really clear on what it is that you help with, what you do, what you sell, and how can someone work with you. You know, it's making a really easy, clear user experience or client journey that just makes things seamless. So it's really, really clear. So you can still be quite general, but you still need to be focused. Being general doesn't mean that you're waffly and you don't know what you're doing. It means you can be quite general, but you can still have to be focused and clear and concise about what it is that you do. So just to recap, so the first thing to do is to work out what your superpower is via my uniqueometer. So what makes you different? Why would someone choose you over somebody else? What is your special thing about you? The second thing is get a plan in place to break that confidence code. Maybe you do a bit of research. Maybe you test things out a little bit. Maybe you just have to tell yourself that you're good enough. You look at your testimonials and things like that to give yourself that little bit of a boost. And then the third thing is niche or not to niche, you decide. So whether it is time to start focusing and tweaking and getting more focused on what it is that you do in your business, or maybe you just focus on what makes you stand out for the moment and getting clear on who your customer is. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed this. So here's a few places that you can find me. So it's my website, amycaiger.com, and my email address there, and you can find me on social media at amycaigerbiz. I'm normally on Instagram. Forgotten the name then. You know when you say something so effortlessly that you think you've said the wrong thing. I'm most likely on Instagram, so come and follow me on there. And I've got podcasts, as I said at the beginning, Unleash Your Niche. And I've also got a Facebook group with the same name, Unleash Your Niche. So come and find us, just search in Facebook. And also I've got another little special thing for you. I've got my Niche Unleashes playbook, which is something I use with my own clients. And this is kind of the ultimate workbook for helping you get clear on your niche. So it's got loads of stuff. It's got exercises, sounds like you're at school, but on how to get clear on some of the things that I've spoken about today. So what makes you different, who thinking about your A-list clients, all those sorts of things. But there's also templates for creating your niche biz intro statement, saying who you help and how you help, and your website home pages, about pages, to make sure that you're communicating your niche on your website, and brand board templates, all sorts of stuff. There's loads and loads and loads of good stuff in there. So that's the link to get the playbook. And that's it.
Wow, awesome. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Amy. So many great tips and tricks and kind of very simple step-by-step guide to finding a niche. We have a couple of questions from our community. The first one is from Dana, and Dana is asking, I currently have two completely different client types. What advice do you have towards that? It's like having two niches.
Okay, yes. So this is something that people do have without knowing what your business is. So maybe you could put that, I don't know how quick the comments come through, but that would be good to know, because I think if you've got two complete different clients and you are doing completely different things, there's a few things. It could be that it's time to focus on one of them, but if it's not that right time, if they are literally 50-50 of your business and you enjoy working with them, you could think about maybe having an umbrella term. So an element that they both do feel. As I say, this is difficult without knowing how different these clients are or the offerings for them, or whether it might be that they are in different places. So if your offer is still the same, so you still do the same thing with them, because I suppose that's something else. If you have completely different services, completely different audiences, completely different, then that's a bit different than if they're just different clients, but you still offer them the same service. So it might be that you just tailor where they hang out. So it could be that one of your audience is more on Instagram, so you use those messages on that platform, and the other is mainly on LinkedIn, for example, so you could use that messaging there. So it's just thinking about, say, either how you choose your messaging for each of those, maybe in different places, or finding maybe an umbrella term that they both feel, and then you can start going into different, if you're this one, go here. If you're this one, go here, which you can have as well on your website. You could have your opening statement, which says who you help and how you help, and to say maybe your who is not as defined if they are completely different people, but then your how you help should still be something that would help both of them. And then you can have the, like, are you this person? Are you this person? So there are ways of doing it. I say it's difficult without knowing how different they are.
I just saw a comment from Tana, which might
okay.
She said almost the same services, just different places and languages.
Oh, okay. So that it could be that, say, that tailoring where you talk to them is something you focus on one in another area and another one somewhere else, perhaps, that you're targeting them that way. Because if your service is pretty much the same, that means they are probably having the same problems that you're solving, because you've got that service. That service is helping both of them. So it's either thinking of, say, maybe more of an umbrella term that encompasses both of them, or, as I say, tailoring their messages of where they hang out.
Yeah. And what would you do if the situation was different, where the difference would be that there are two completely different products? One might be a product and one might be a service. One might be a B2B and one might be B2C. I know people who have training services, they help people in business, and then they have a small product line that's completely different market, completely different business.
I mean, I think the first thing is to think about, are they two different businesses? Because that's a different thing. And it's, do you want to be splitting your time over two different businesses? So that's the first one. But if it is something that, say, for instance, you help, if you're a graphic designer and you do the graphic design for people, but you also have a load of Canva templates, for example, that is similar, it's not really too distracting for you, it all relates, then I'd say maybe it's that finding where they are again, having different elements, focusing on different website pages and things when you talk to your different people, and just tailor it to when you're actually talking to that person.
Yeah. Another question is from Marky, and I absolutely feel where she's coming from. I have the same experience with my clients as well. She says, I often get asked by clients about cutting people out if I choose to niche. So people are afraid that if I niche, that I will be cutting people out. And often I hear clients to say, well, anyone can be my client and I want to work with everyone. So what do you say to that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's to say the age-old fear, I think, that people have when they come to that crossroads of thinking about whether they should niche. And the first thing is to think, if you market to everybody, and I'm sure this is something you've probably heard before, you end up marketing to nobody, because you're not actually targeting those specific problems that your person has. So if you're trying to be a bit too broad, you're trying to appeal to everybody, you will appeal to nobody, because it will just go over people's heads, because you're not creating that emotion of someone thinking, oh my God, you are reading my mind, you totally get me, oh my God, I need your service or your product. But also being specialist in something, so you focus on a particular area, you won't be cutting people out, because people will still come to you anyway. That's something, and you can make that decision whether you decide to work with them or not. You don't have to publicly go, oh my God, I've said I'm not going to do this anymore, I can't possibly take on that client because I've said so. No one needs to know if you decide that you still want to do that when you're transitioning or whatever. But also, if you are say really clear on something, if once you're confident, you will attract people as well anyway. If you're talking about something, then say people are drawn to confidence, but also you can get your messaging tailored so well to that person that more people will come to you. So you're not just going to be attracting, so if you were offering 4 things and you've cut 3 out and now you've only got 1, it doesn't mean you're only going to keep the amount of those, whoever was coming to you for that 1 service. You'll suddenly start speaking to a lot more people. And it is really scary because you do think, oh God, but I also do have lots of clients in those other things. But it just means you can be a lot stronger. Like your whole focus will be on that one thing. So it'll make it easier for you as well. You'll know what to write blog posts about or talk on social media or whatever. And you'll start to have all these ideas because you are focused on that area as well. And I say, then you'll be helping your customers so much more as well if you focused on a particular thing. But as I was saying, it's that doctor thing as well. You do also want that specialist. Thing is now you can get specialists for everything all over, with the internet now, everyone online, even everything on Zoom now, you can access people wherever. So it is something, if you're focusing on something, then you will be more of that go-to person. So it is something, but say you can do things in stages. You can do those things that I was talking about, so it's not as scary and you're kind of thinking, oh God, I'm jumping, I'm getting rid of all those clients. You don't have to, and you also don't have to get rid of clients either. If you've decided you want to focus, you can keep some ones on your books. You don't have to kind of do all that. It's, doing it in the stages, like more blog posts, more social media posts on that thing, so it's not then as scary.
Yeah. So on the question niche or not too niche, we have a question from Javier who's asking, so if I have no customers, but very clear idea of what my service is, do you still recommend not to niche?
I think if you've got an idea of what it is that's different, you're doing something that you think no one else is doing this is really something I can really go with, then maybe do a bit more research. So it's not so much that you don't niche, it's that I think people, when they're new in business, they kind of think, oh, I've got to have this really pinpointed customer. I need to have this service. I need to focus on an element. Like I must, using my kind of one of my examples from earlier, it's like, oh, I must only do SEO if I'm a marketing person. I choose my specialty. And at the beginning, you might not know what that is. But if you've got an idea that you think that's really different, then say you can either test it out, you can do all those elements, but it's trying not to make anything up. So for example, if you were thinking, I've got this this service, oh, who should it be for? Oh, I'll make it up. I think it should be for this person. But if you've done your research, the problems that people are having, it's something that's needed, then you can absolutely go for that. If you've kind of done all that extra, say you really, really know what you're talking about.
Cool. We had a couple of questions asking about kind of content and how you actually explain your niche, how you communicate what you do. And Claire has said nicely that she has trouble wording her message as a solution for clients rather than saying, I do X, Y, Z. She wants them to buy more into her skills, obviously the feeling, the connection and the problems that she's solving for them, rather than having a list of very kind of blandly defined services. Do you have any advice on helping people really vocalize and put the content together and put the messaging to explain clearly what their niche is?
Absolutely. And actually in my niche unleashes, I always got to be careful saying those 2 words together, playbook, there's a little bit on how you can construct this like statement of saying what it is that you do. But so do have a look at that. But yes, you kind of want to remove yourself from listing out a load of job description, kind of job title, job descriptions like a CV. You want to tap it into how you help. So if you really think about what is that problem that your customer is really having. So you might have to just kind of take yourself off somewhere in a room and just think about this, because sometimes it's not always the most obvious thing, as it were. So it's really tapping into what is that thing that my customers are kind of lying awake at night with, as it were. You know, what is that problem that they're having, and then how do I solve them? What transformation do they want? Where do they want to be once that thing is solved? And this sounds all very kind of extreme, but this is a good way of kind of thinking about it and thinking of like where they want to be. And then if you start talking about your business in that way, so rather than saying, oh, I'm an accountant, for example, you'll say, oh, I help small business owners. Okay, this is how much I know about accountancy now. Kind of get clear on their numbers so that it can make more profit in their business, for example, and say, I'm not an accountant. But, you know, people will start to relate to that, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I need that. I need someone to help my numbers to make more profit. Or, oh, my friend needs help with that. She was just telling me the other day. It just suddenly makes people connect with what you do, rather than if someone just said, I'm an accountant, then people would be like, oh, okay. You know, and also it makes you different. So if there's 3 accountants in a room, they could all be doing something, you know, their area of expertise could all be different. But if they all just said, I'm an accountant, I'm an accountant, I'm an accountant, then people aren't going to really understand what it is they do. But if they all have their own little special way of talking about their business, that's what people connect with. So it's starting to think about, yeah, what are those problems and how do you solve them, and how you can use that to describe your business, rather than to say those kind of bullet points of, oh, I do X, Y, Z, and leaving it at that. You need to create that kind of emotion that someone can picture themselves in understanding what it is that you do.
And how about if you're changing your direction of your business? You have some sort of a presence, people know you as a person for that, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to niche, which might be within what you've been doing before, or it might be something completely different that you've, through what you've been doing, you've learned and explored, and you discovered that actually you want to use your skills somewhere else. How would you recommend people to kind of rebrand and relaunch their niche?
Absolutely. So, and this is something that is normally one of those moments that people do decide to niche. They are having a bit of a reposition in their business. So there's kind of 2 ways you kind of do it, either a bit more of a makeover, you know, the kind of makeover shows, we walk down the stairs and suddenly it's all changed, or you can do things like as you go along. So you can kind of change things behind the scenes, as it were. But the key things to think about is like content's a really good one. So you start to create more of that content that is more of your new positioning rather than where you are at now. So you can start to make people think, oh yeah, that person keeps talking about that thing now. And say it might be that they notice, it might be more subliminal, that they start picking up on your content, so you can kind of transition your business in that way. It's also getting really clear on that sentence that I was just talking about, you know, how do you actually help, and who do you help, you know, getting really, really clear on that. And then you can start, say, putting that in your messaging. And yeah, it's just kind of making sure that the people know what you're doing. So say content is a really, really good place to start to do that, because that's where you can start talking about your new direction, and you can start having conversations. And I say you could either do it in a bit like, hi guys, I'm now changing and this is what I'm doing, or as I say, you can do it more gradually over time, and people will start to realize that you were here, you were and now you're over here, and say it would be more of a seamless transition. But yeah, content's a really, really good one for that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm just double checking all the questions, but looks like we've covered everything that people wanted to know. Thank you so much, Amy. This was fantastic. I personally got so much out of it, just giving me more ideas of where I can focus more and how I can really hone my own niche. And I'm sure that our audience have got some great inspiration from you. So thank you so much. I will share links to your playbook and to your podcast. I will update a copy and I will share it with people who watched live, as well for everyone in the replay. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.